DreAllDay.com.
What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com, here to talk a little bit of hoops, a little bit of basketball. We know the NBA Finals is over. I had a lot of fun doing the Finals games recaps, all 7 of them. We got the maximum, but challenge is now ain't no more games. Ain't no more games of basketball to be played. But I was talking to my people over at the Whistle Sports, actually today when I'm recording this video, and I said, you know, basketball is over, ain't no more games. What's some things that you think I could talk about that the audience would be interested in? They threw me a couple ideas, actually threw me several ideas. This video is actually one of those ideas that I'm talking about right now. I'm actually going to take a couple of those ideas and condense them all into this one video for some specific reasons. So I'm going to tell you the 3 things we're going to talk about so far. First, we're going to talk about the NBA draft. We're going to talk about NBA free agency and, you know, player movement, and also about Team USA. Now, here's the thing. With player movement, free agency, it ain't really that much to talk about yet because not that much has even happened yet. Actually, as of today, I'm recording this at the end of June. Players can't even sign their deals even if they agree to a deal. So nothing really can be talked about yet. And the only move that I know of that happened was Derrick Rose getting traded. So we'll talk about that in a second. First, let's talk about the NBA draft. I don't really have anything to say about the NBA draft for one really good reason. I don't watch college basketball at all. I did not watch 1 second of college basketball this year. I think I watched the championship game. I don't even remember who was playing. I think that's the only game. If I watched that game, that's the only game that I watched all year. Wait, wasn't that Villanova hit the buzzer beater? Was that this year? I don't even know. But whoever it was, I don't watch college basketball, so I don't know anything about these players. I don't even know what they look like. I just heard the names, and I don't even know what position they play or how they would fit on the teams they got drafted to. So unfortunately, there's nothing I can tell you about the NBA draft. No opinion that I have to share because I know absolutely nothing about any of these players until they start playing in the NBA. Now, as far as the player movement, the only trade we know is Derrick Rose got traded from Chicago to New York, and New York gave back, I think Robin Lopez was one, Jerian Grant was another, and I forget who. I think they threw in something else in that trade. I don't remember what else. Chicago Bulls. First of all, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. I think the Chicago Bulls are going into a rebuilding year. They got a new coach, Fred Hoiberg, and that didn't work out too well for the Bulls. They ended up missing the playoffs. How did they miss the playoffs with 4 All-Stars? They had Derrick Rose, Butler, Pau Gasol, and Joakim Noah, but I don't think they had a good mix. They had injuries, of course. It wasn't really a great mix of players, at least the way that the coach worked it. Joakim Noah was coming off the bench for a certain period of time. How you got Joakim Noah coming off the bench? That makes no sense. I think, number one, the Bulls are not going to be very good this year. I just read before I went to record this video that Pau Gasol is not renewing his contract. He's opting out, so he's going to be a free agent. He's not coming back to Chicago. Pau Gasol is leaving. Derrick Rose already gone. Joakim Noah is probably leaving, especially after the coach made him come off the bench. Joakim Noah was like top 5 MVP a couple years ago. I know he had some injuries, but you got Joakim Noah coming off the bench. Like, he's the heart and soul of the Chicago Bulls. How you going to have him coming off the bench? So I think he's leaving just off that alone, unless they fire the coach. Joakim Noah is going to leave Chicago, and Joakim Noah is from New York. And we're going to talk about the Knicks in a second. So the only person left on the Bulls right now is Jimmy Butler. And I think Jimmy, if he ends up staying on the team, because they were, I know on draft night, I was following on Twitter, even though I don't know the players, I was following on Twitter that he almost got traded to the Timberwolves, but they weren't able to complete the deal because then he get to go play for his guy Tibbs in Minnesota, and that'd be a hell of a team. They get Jimmy Butler, and they get him with those guards. They got, what's those guys' names? Ricky Rubio and the other guy, Zach LaVine. And then you got Karl Anthony Towns, who's going to be a fucking superstar. Man, that's a hell of a team. And a great coach. And Tibbs, not even talking about Andrew Wiggins, who can actually play. Shabazz Muhammad off the bench, he can play. And I know they got some other guys I can't even remember. In the offseason, I'll be forgetting who the players are anyway. But if he gets traded to Minnesota, the Timberwolves going to have a nice little team over the next 1 to 2 years in the NBA, because they still got a lot of young guys that got to learn the ropes. But the Chicago Bulls, if Jimmy stays in Chicago, he should average 25, 30 this upcoming year, because he's going to be the guy getting the ball most of the time. They got a couple other guys who can go, but Jimmy's going to be pretty much dominating. I don't know if he's going to be in Chicago, though. We'll see. I think they're going to go in a full rebuilding mode and get Jimmy out of there. So you got the young guys play this year, got the young coach learn this year, and then try to get some better players through the draft or free agency or whatever they choose to do. Now, the New York Knicks. We're going to talk about a couple other free agency things that might happen, because nothing, as of the recording of this video, I think July 1st is the opening of the window, or the opening at a time when players can do what they want. I think I'm going to put this out before July 1st, but we'll see. The New York Knicks. I like Carmelo Anthony. I'm a fan of Carmelo. I want to see Carmelo do good. He's a great player. Problem is, Carmelo Anthony went and got the money. He went and got the money in New York. Instead of getting the shorter contract, he took the longer contract for the maximum amount of money, but he was on a terrible fucking team. The Knicks are just not a well put together basketball team. And Carmelo had to know that up front, but he wanted to be at home in New York, and he wanted to get the money. And listen, if I was Carmelo and I'm playing in my hometown and I got a chance to get the max money, whatever that max money was, I might do it too. Even if I knew I was going to end up on a bum-ass team, because listen, hey, I mean, one way of looking at it is something I heard Derrick Rose say, speaking of Derrick Rose, that a basketball career ain't forever. At some point, you're going to have to live the rest of your life. You're going to be living your life as an old guy, an older ex-basketball player, longer than you're going to be a basketball player. So that's one way of looking at it. I don't know what Carmelo's reasoning was for signing the deal. I don't know Carmelo, never heard him talk about it or had a conversation with the man, so I'm not speaking off of anything I know. I'm just saying he did. I'm going off the facts of him signing that max contract when he could have did the 3-year deal. He could have did the shorter deal to opt out like LeBron and Wade and all those guys was doing. And he kind of missed the boat on that draft class when Wade, Bosh, and LeBron did that. Melo was stuck in that 3-year deal. He was stuck in a longer deal, 5-year deal, forced his way from Denver to New York, but New York had to give up all these pieces to get him, and New York ain't been shit since. They've been a bum-ass team since, except during Linsanity. And then Melo came back, and Melo kind of killed Linsanity. But Carmelo Anthony better than Jeremy Lin, so I guess that's the move that they had to make. But I'm happy that the Knicks finally got Derrick Rose. Now, we don't know what Derrick Rose can do right now. Do we actually know what Derrick Rose can do? I think I read over the last 2 seasons or 3 or 4 seasons, one of those numbers, he only played in like 39% of the games or something like that, some stat. Don't quote me on those numbers. But Derrick Rose keeps missing games. He keeps getting injured. Obviously not the athlete that he was in 2011 when he won the MVP. Derrick Rose was the fucking man that year when he won the MVP. Like everything Steph Curry does with dribbling and shooting, Derrick Rose was doing with power and athleticism off the bounce at the same position in 2011. He was the fucking man that year. I remember they played the Hawks in the playoffs. It was either the first round or the second round. They played the Hawks in the playoffs and they swept the Hawks. But Derrick Rose was just dominating them physically so much. I was like, wow. I never saw a point guard doing what Derrick Rose was doing that year he won MVP. He shouldn't have been MVP. Actually, probably should have been either Dwight Howard or one of the guys from the Heat, LeBron or Dwayne Wade that year. But he was the big storyline. Everybody was talking about him. He was the darling of the league. He got the MVP award. Then the Heat came into Chicago and kicked their face in the conference finals, which they should have did. Which, I mean, to me, proved he should have been MVP. He should not have been MVP. But MVP is a popularity contest. It's the same reason Steph Curry won it. But that's a whole different conversation. Now, Derrick Rose, if he can be healthy, if Derrick Rose can get healthy, whatever he got to do, if he can play a whole season, him and Carmelo on the same team. They did trade away their center, Robin Lopez, who actually has turned out to be a very serviceable big man. Robin Lopez is actually a good big man. He ain't no all-star superstar, but he's a good, solid big man to have on your team. If they can replace him with a big man, which I think Dwight Howard opted out, he's a free agent. Pau Gasol opted out, he's a free agent. Joakim Noah is a free agent. I think he's a free agent. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And who else is a big man? I think those are the 3 big man free agents. Now, I'm pretty sure that Pau and Joakim Noah are not going to sign on the same team. But I think if Joakim Noah is available, he might go to New York, because Joakim Noah is from New York. If the Knicks can get Derrick Rose, Melo, and Joakim Noah on the team, I mean, Joakim Noah ain't like a guy who's going to get you 20 points, but Joakim Noah is a star. Joakim Noah is an all-star when he's healthy. I think that's a good enough big 3 that the Knicks could at least make the playoffs. I mean, they're a playoff team with those 3 guys, and they got to put some guys around them, of course. Maybe Lance Stevenson. I heard the Grizzlies declined to pick up the option on Lance Stevenson. So what if Lance Stevenson signs with the Knicks? So you got Derrick Rose, Lance Stevenson, Melo. Oh, Porzingis. I forgot about Kristaps Porzingis. Forgot all about that guy. He can play. And the Knicks replaced bum-ass Kurt Rambis, who was coaching. He didn't want Porzingis shooting threes, which makes no sense. Kurt Rambis still stuck in the 1980s. So I got Jeff Hornacek as a coach, right? Jeff Hornacek, I don't know how he's going to be as a coach, but I think Hornacek at least got some fresh ideas of how basketball works, unlike these 80s guys telling their big men not to shoot threes. That's ridiculous. But they got him out of there. But Porzingis can ball. I forgot all about him. Him, Melo, Rose. If they had Lance Stevenson, I don't really think the Knicks are going to sign Lance Stevenson. And Joakim Noah, that's the team right there. That's the team that can make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, depending on the pieces they put around them. Because you can't just have the superstars and not have no role players or no bench. They got to have some players around them. The Knicks can be a playoff team. They can be a top 4, I think, playoff team if healthy. If Joe Kim's healthy, I think Joe Kim, for the most part, has a clean track record. He had a year of injuries, but I think for the most part, he's been healthy. So I think he's good. And the big question mark is Derrick Rose. Carmelo's actually been pretty durable, too, for most of his career. And I want to see Carmelo in a position to, fucking compete. He ain't never really been in a position to compete since he left Denver. That one year they had, I think, Chauncey and Iverson. Those years when they had Iverson and then they had Chauncey, they had some years that they competed, but not really. You never really thought they were going to win because they was losing to the Lakers. I just want to see Carmelo in an opportunity to compete. With a healthy Derrick Rose, I think that's going to be a fun team to watch, New York. Now, the other free agent that's out there, so we know that Joe Kim, I think Joe Kim is a free agent. I think he is. Whatever. Dwight Howard's a free agent. I don't know where Dwight Howard's going to sign. Somebody's going to sign Dwight Howard because he can still get you 18 points and 10 rebounds a game. He gets you 12 rebounds a game if he's healthy. Dwight Howard can play. I think playing on James Harden's team was like completely deflating to him emotionally because James Harden don't pass the fucking ball. James Harden will dribble the ball for 20 seconds every possession. James Harden can score his ass off. He can score on anybody in the league, anybody in the world, but he don't pass the ball. I mean, I can see how it can be hard to play with a guy like James Harden because he dribbles all game. He don't pass, and he don't really play no defense. So who wants to play with a guy like that? I know I don't. But y'all got me. He's fun to watch, but he's not fun to play with. Now, Dwight Howard, who knows where he's going to sign? Maybe he could be the New York big guy if they don't get Joe Kim or whoever else is out there. Dwight Howard could be the New York big guy if he's healthy again, if he wants to actually play again. That could be a hell of a team. Derrick Rose and Dwight Howard on the same team. I mean, 5 years ago, if you put those two guys on the same team, it's game over. But now, who knows? But anyway, that's it for New York. Now, the other guy who's a free agent is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's a free agent. I just read that Carmelo said, because him and Kevin Durant's on Team USA, who we're going to get to in a second, that Carmelo said, we had our conversation. No, KD said, we had a conversation, and I'm going to talk to my team, and we're going to see where it goes from there. Basically talking about his agent and his people, whoever he surrounds himself with. If Kevin Durant, I don't see Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City. I don't see him leaving. I think he's going to re-sign in Oklahoma City for another year or whatever the situation is, so he can get the maximum cap money whenever that comes up. I don't see him leaving Oklahoma City, but if he did, if he left Oklahoma City, number one, I don't think he's signing with the Golden State Warriors. I don't think he's signing with the Warriors. Why would Kevin Durant sign with the team to just beat him? I don't see Kevin Durant doing that. I mean, I can't say that he wouldn't do it, but I don't see that happening. If he was to go to New York, wow, that would be something. If him and Carmelo was on the same team and Derrick Rose, first of all, they need some solid bigs down there. They need some big guys. So they already got Porzingis. They need a defensive, team-oriented big guy like, what's the guy's name? Joe Kim Noah. They need somebody like Joe Kim Noah on that team. Even a Dwight Howard. But if Kevin Durant signed with New York, that'd be crazy. That'd be like the biggest thing. That would be the biggest thing since LeBron going to Miami and then going back to Cleveland. But I don't think he's leaving Oklahoma City. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after this video comes out. Now let's get to Team USA. Team USA unveiled their roster, their 12-man roster for the 2016 games to be played in Rio de Janeiro late this summer. We're going to go man by man through this roster. I'm going to tell you what I think about who's on the roster, what I think their chances are of competing and winning the gold medal and all of that. First of all, Team USA is going to win the gold medal. All right, let's get that out the way. So if you was waiting to watch this whole video just to see who I thought was going to win the gold medal, Team USA is going to win. I don't think any of you was waiting to hear me say they were going to win. I think we all assumed that Team USA is going to win again. We're back to assuming Team USA is going to win after 2008 when they came out and did their thing. One of the reasons why is because even though I don't even know the international team rosters, there's only one international team that over the last 8 years, the last previous Olympics, has been able to compete with Team USA, and that's Spain. Now, a couple things I'm going to put out here. It's been 4 years since the last international, or did we play in 2014? Yeah, I think we did the 2014 World Championships. But not counting that, the last Olympics was in 2012. So over the last 4 years, a lot of new players could have come up and developed. A lot of old players could have came out. So some country may have a strong-ass team right now that I'm not even aware of because I'm not watching international basketball. I watch NBA games, and that's it. I don't watch college. I don't watch no other league but the NBA. So it could be another team out there that I'm not aware of, so I'm going to make sure I put that disclaimer out there. But Spain's been the only team that can really compete. And the only way Spain can actually beat the USA is they got to have their whole team. They got to have everybody. They got to have J.C. Navarro. They got to have Ricky. They got to have, who's the other guy? Rudy Fernandez. They got to have both of their bigs. They need the Gasol brothers. If they don't have both big guys, ain't no way they win it. The only way they got a chance against Team USA is to have those two big guys and try to pound Team USA into submission. It hasn't worked, but they've been close. They at least made it a competitive game. But if either one of the Gasol brothers don't play in Rio, there's no way Spain's competing with the Team USA, and no other team can beat USA simply because Team USA got 12 guys who can actually fucking play. All 12 of them can play. It ain't no weak guys on the roster. I mean, now as far as in international competition, some of these guys are not going to be as good, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But no other team has the top to bottom talent that Team USA has, and now that they're being, and they never have. It's always been like that since 1992. Team USA has always had the most top to bottom talent. The problem is they weren't prepared properly. They hadn't been coached properly. They didn't have the right mindset to go in there and win in international competition for a couple years. But now, since 2008, they got their shit together. Got a coach, got a real system, got players to buy in, got practices and plays, and they got an actual structure of what they're doing now. So that's not a problem anymore. Nobody has the talent top to bottom. So over a 40-minute game, no team can stay with Team USA just because they got so much firepower. So let's go man by man through this roster. I'm going to tell you just what I think and how I think these players will work. First of all, Carmelo Anthony is like, Carmelo Anthony might be, y'all can tell me, the best USA guy in the history of Olympics since we've been sending NBA guys. I don't know about the college guys back then. I wasn't watching basketball at that point. But excuse me, since 1992, when we started sending NBA players, I think Carmelo Anthony might be the best overall. If you just laid out everybody's performance and stats over every time they played just in international competition, Carmelo Anthony might be the best American player in the history of international basketball. Y'all tell me, because Carmelo is a beast. In 2008, he was a beast. In 2008, 2012, he played in 2004, but they was trash in 2004. Melo wasn't that much of a factor. But Carmelo Anthony is a fucking beast in international. Reason why, he's a guy who can play, first of all, he can play multiple positions, because to play good in international for USA, you got to be able to play multiple positions. You got to be a dynamic player who can do more than one thing. So play multiple positions, but can you score inside and outside? Carmelo, yes. Carmelo will dunk on you. He'll body you out the way for offensive rebounds. He'll hit threes on you, and he can take you off the bounce. So he got all the offensive tools. He got the body size where he can guard guys at different positions. He has the mentality where he doesn't get like frustrated by the international guys. Like, he frustrates them more than they frustrate him. Actually, Carmelo is a beast in international play. He is the MVP. He's the guy. And I think he likes playing international ball. I think he knows how nice he is when he plays international. He's nice in the NBA too, but in international, he's damn near unstoppable. So I think he likes playing on Team USA just because, one, he dominates, and number two, is his chance of going out and actually winning. He been on the Knicks for the last couple of years. He ain't tasted winning for a while. So if I was Melo, I'd be playing on Team USA too. Shit. And he had the whole spring off anyway. The Knicks ain't even make the playoffs. So I'm sure Carmelo's going to come in there fresh and ready to dominate. So Carmelo is a necessary piece for them to win the gold. Carmelo's the man. Kevin Durant, of course. I think the first time I saw Durant was in 2010. I think it was the 2010 World Championships. Y'all correct me on that. I know he played in 2012, but I think it was the 2010 World Championships where a lot of the star guys like Kobe, LeBron, a lot of those dudes didn't play. And it looked like Team USA might be in trouble, but then Kevin Durant started killing. He started hitting threes, and you know the international three line is shorter than the NBA line. Kevin Durant started hitting threes on guys, and he was just killing. And everybody's like, yo, Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant. And then a year or two later, Kevin Durant was MVP of the NBA. So it's kind of how it works a little bit. But Kevin Durant, of course, he is definitely necessary because he's another guy. He showed in this year's playoffs, even though they lost to Golden State, he showed that he can lock up on D and be a factor on D when he wants to be or when he gets placed in a proper position. It's either A or B, probably a combination of both. But he can block shots. He can roam. He got these long-ass limbs, so he can steal the ball. He can defend pretty much anybody when he wants to. I'm not sure he could guard like a big burly guy like a Marc Gasol or something, but pretty much anybody else from the forward position on down, when he wants to, he can lock up on D. Offensively, we ain't got to talk about it. He'll take you off the bounce. He'll hit threes on you. He will definitely dunk on you. He's an efficient scorer outside of what he was doing in Game 6 against Golden State. But other than that, he's an efficient scorer. Kevin Durant's necessary. Him and Melo are the two guys for them to win the championship. If it is a close game, a gold medal, those are the two guys that's going to step up and go to fucking work. Kevin Durant and Carmelo Anthony. Paul George. Now, we know what happened to Paul George last time he was playing with Team USA. It was in 2014, 2014, when they were about to play in the FIBA World Cup. That's the name of it now. They changed the name from World Championships, the World Cup. He had that gruesome leg injury, but he's back now. Paul George back to being an all-star, back to being as great as he has been. He will be a major factor. I'm not putting him on the same tier as KD and Carmelo. He's about a half notch below those two guys. But Paul George is a dynamic guy, so he can guard all three, 1, 2, 3 positions. I'm not sure about him guarding the 4. Actually, he could guard 4s. Paul George can guard 4 positions. He can dunk on you. He can hit the 3s. He can take you off the bounce. So he's another dynamic, all-around guy in that like 6'7", 6'9" range with KD and Carmelo, or however tall Kevin Durant is. Y'all know what I mean. So Paul George is another necessary guy. Draymond Green. I like Draymond Green on Team USA because he has something in common with Melo. He's one of those guys that has a very strong base. He has a strong lower body from the waist down, which means he could body up with those 4s and 5s and move those guys out the way for rebounds and for banging in the paint. Even though he's not that tall, he can bang in the paint with guys. And of course, we know he can handle the ball off the bounce. He's an emotional guy, emotional leader. And those international team players, those guys get real emotional. Draymond will go right at it with those guys, and that's part of his game. It's not like he's getting out of his game to do it. So that's a good thing. You need a guy like Draymond in an international competition like this. So I like Draymond for this. I like Draymond's competitiveness. I think he's going to want to go out there and do his thing after the whole world saw them lose Game 7 to the Cavs, blow 3 games in a row to the Cavs. I think he wants to go out there and prove something. This is his first time playing for Team USA. So I think this will be very important for Draymond. I think he's going to be a huge factor on this team, especially when the USA has to go small, which they're probably going to be going small a lot. Draymond can be your center. He can go up with, you can put him against a Marc Gasol, and he'll be cool. He'll be straight. So I think Draymond is a huge factor, huge plus for this team. Klay Thompson. Now, Klay has played on Team USA before. He played in the FIBA games. He played in the FIBA games 2014. And he is, of course, we know Klay Thompson can shoot that ball. He can play defense. He's a pretty good defender. I mean, he ain't no ace defender, but he's a pretty good defender, I would say. He can guard his position. He's not going to be getting cooked or getting his ass bust by nobody. So his shooting is the main thing, and the fact that he's 6'7", so he can even swing to that 3 position sometimes, and then a pinch he can guard a 4 and gives the USA some size. So the real key type players Team USA needs is those guys that's in that 6'4" to 6'9" range that can play multiple positions, that can handle the ball, shoot the ball, and finish in the paint. It says 6'4". The reason I threw in 6'4" because you got to think of a guy like Dwayne Wade, who's about 6'4", but he got that wingspan. He can jump and he can play all over the floor. Then you think of a Kobe, a LeBron, a KD. These versatile guys who are in that 6'4" and up range that can play multiple positions, handle it, shoot it, finish. So Klay Thompson is another one of those guys. I mean, I don't see Klay Thompson dunking on nobody, but that outside shot is going to keep defenses honest, and of course you need that in international ball, especially with the smaller 3-point line. So it's a more packed-in gameplay. Kyrie Irving. Well, Kyrie's just coming off. Kyrie's confidence is like through the fucking stratosphere right now after what he did in the NBA Finals. We already know what he can do. We already know he can handle it. We already know he can take anybody off the bounce. We know he can shoot. We know he can finish. His defense ain't all that, but he can play D when he wants to. We've seen that too. So Kyrie, I mean, he probably going to be the starting point guard. I see Kyrie as being the starting point guard on Team USA, and he should be. I mean, he's the best point guard on the team. Jimmy Butler is another guy in that range that I was just talking about. Those guys, I think Jimmy Butler is 6'5", 6'6", a guy who can play multiple positions. He's strong as hell, so he can even guard a 4-man in the pinch. He can guard a 1, 2, or 3. He's a tough player. He's a physical player, so he won't mind the physical play that's allowed, increased physical play that's allowed in international competition. He can shoot the ball. He ain't a sniper from 3, but he can shoot it. He can get in the paint. He can finish, and he's a tough player. And you need a guy like Jimmy Butler to come in there and bang bodies and not worry about getting some extra contact and go. So I like Jimmy Butler's choice on the team. DeMarcus Cousins is an interesting one. I think he's the player that everybody's going to be most interested to see, like, how is this guy going to respond to playing in international competition? He's done it already. He played in the FIBA games in 2014 and showed to be a very good team player when he was around some competent fucking players, unlike what he's doing in Sacramento. Who knows what's going on over there? But I think Boogie Cousins, first of all, we already know his game. We know his work. We know the guy can score on pretty much anybody. He can get you 25 and 15 every night in the league. So I know he can get 25 and 15 in international competition. He's probably not going to play enough to get those kind of stats. But if Spain brings those Gasol brothers, you need Boogie Cousins out there. Because Boogie Cousins can give 30 to either one of the Gasol brothers. He got to be able to guard them. He can guard pretty much anybody. Boogie pretty much should be the best center in the NBA. I don't see anybody who should take that position from him. I think he needs some competent players around him, a competent organization for him to be signed with. But on Team USA, as long as he can keep his head, and I think he can. I think he will, especially around this group of guys. And with a guy like Coach K, solid guy at the top, I don't think there's going to be any problems with Boogie Cousins, like emotionally. I think he's just going to show his game, and being that he is easily the most talented big man playing in this competition. I don't even know who the other big men are. It ain't no big man in the world more talented than Boogie Cousins playing in this tournament. So as long as he's there mentally, no problem. He's going to do his thing. DeAndre Jordan, I'm not sure about DeAndre Jordan. Not sure about him, because if you compare him to Boogie Cousins, first of all, DeAndre has no offensive repertoire whatsoever, zero, except catching alley-oops and dunking. He can jump higher. He can probably touch higher on the backboard than anybody in the world. DeAndre Jordan, he can jump out the damn gym. So if he gets in, he going to block a whole lot of damn shots, kind of like Tyson Chandler was a few Olympics back. He can block a lot of shots. I don't think he's as cerebral as Tyson Chandler, but he can be that rangy guy, block some shots, get some alley-oop dunks, alter some shots, change some people's mind about driving into the paint. I think those are the things he can do. But honestly, I don't think DeAndre Jordan's going to play much. I don't think he's going to play much. I just don't see. He's not a Team USA type of guy. Because these guys who can only do one thing and nothing else, they're not the type of guys who really do well for Team USA in international competition. Even Michael Redd in the 2008 Olympics, Michael Redd was like the best shooter in the league the year before. For those of you who remember Michael Redd, he ain't even in the league no more. But he barely played, not because he can shoot. We all know he can make threes all day, but you can't put him in the game and take Dwayne Wade out, or take Kobe out, or take LeBron out, or take Chris Paul out, because those guys are dynamic guys that can do multiple things. Michael Redd can only do one thing. DeAndre Jordan can only do one thing. He can't make a free throw to save his life. He has no offensive game, so he doesn't spread the floor. I think he's going to spend a lot of time on the bench. I just think that's what's going to happen with DeAndre Jordan. Kyle Lowry's from Philly. I'm from Philly, so I always support players that's from Philly. However, Kyle Lowry is kind of in the DeAndre Jordan category to me. Kyle Lowry can score. He can get to the hole. He can make threes. He can play D. Unfortunately, I just don't see Kyle Lowry as a guy who's going to – I don't see him as a dynamic Team USA type. I think he's going to do well because skill-wise, he's going to be head and shoulders above many of the point guards Team USA faces. And I think him and Kyrie Irving are the only actual official point guards on the team. They are. It's only those two guys. So Kyle Lowry's going to get a lot of playing time, and I think he's going to do well. But if Team USA had their full complement of available point guards, Chris Paul, Stephen Curry, maybe a healthy Derrick Rose, who's the other guy? Somebody else that I'm forgetting. They had Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Steph Curry. I mean, we just stopped there. Russell Westbrook, Kyle Lowry wouldn't even be, I don't think, even in the conversation to be on Team USA if those guys were available and looking to play. Not a knock on Kyle Lowry, but I just think those guys are better players. And they are also more dynamic players than Kyle Lowry is. This is how I see it. But I think he's going to do well, just because skill-wise, he got more skills than a lot of those dudes. He got experience playing against the best players in the world every night for who knows how many years. He's an NBA All-Star. The guy can play. He's going to do his thing, but I don't see Kyle Lowry repeating as a Team USA player in the future. Let's put it that way. And he's already 30 years old, so it probably won't even be a conversation next time anyway. But yeah, who's going to play point guard for Team USA? That's a question we're going to have to answer. DeMar DeRozan, good dynamic guy, another 6'7" guy. He's not a great shooter. He can drive. I don't see him as the most efficient guy. And he is an all-star. I know he could put up 20-plus points per game. The thing is, he's on a team with Melo, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, and Kevin Durant. And I think all four of those guys are better than him. And they all pretty much have the same position. And everything DeMar DeRozan can do, all those guys can do. And I think they're better. So I don't see him playing too much either. I think he's going to get time just because they need guys on the wing who can go out there and play in spot duty. But I don't think he's going to play a lot in this competition. Again, the two guys from the Raptors. But it's going to be good for them to get that international competition, play together on the same team. Their confidence is going to be sky high next year, but they're not beating the Cavs unless LeBron gets hurt. Yeah. Last guy on the roster here is Harrison Barnes. Now, Harrison Barnes, another guy in that same range, that 6'8" guy, can shoot from the outside, can drive to the hole and dunk on you, can put the ball on the floor a little bit, can guard guys from the 2 to the 4 position. And in international competition, I think Harrison Barnes is actually going to be pretty good. I think he's going to be pretty good. I don't think he's going to play a lot, but I think when he plays, he will be more effective than people maybe expect, just based on the shitty way he played in the NBA Finals, maybe the whole playoffs kind of. He was kind of here and there. He was here a little bit, then not there a whole lot. So I think Harrison Barnes will play well when he plays, but I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of playing time. So looking at this team, looking at some notable players who would be on the roster but who are not. LeBron is not playing. Steph Curry not playing, focusing on his body. Russell Westbrook, same thing. James Harden, same thing. Kawhi Leonard, same thing. LaMarcus Aldridge, Anthony Davis. Now Blake Griffin, I don't see Blake Griffin as that great of an international guy, so I don't say he's like a guy who would definitely be in if he said yeah. Chris Paul would be in. Damian Lillard, John Wall, I think. Gordon Hayward and Andre Drummond, I don't know about those guys. But you're looking at LeBron, Steph, Westbrook, Harden, Kawhi. I say LaMarcus Aldridge because of his ability to hit that outside shot. Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, John Wall. It's damn near a whole roster. Team USA is kind of sending somewhat of, I would have to call this somewhat of a B team this year. We're going to have to say a B team. We're just assuming is a perfect world. Everybody's healthy and it's had the same amount of rest. This roster is a B team that Team USA is sending. Not to say everybody here is on the B team. Carmelo's an A team guy. Kevin Durant is an A team guy. I think DeMarcus Cousins might be close to being an A team guy. Who else? Kyrie Irving is, based on the way he's played internationally, I think Kyrie Irving, we could call him an A-team guy. Draymond might be able to play his way into being an A-team guy. I think he's kind of on the borderline. I think Clay is on the borderline. Paul George, I'll say, is an A-team guy. Kevin Durant, of course, and Melo, of course. But other than that, I'm not sure this is too much of an A-team, but USA, but I still think they're going to win the gold just because they got the best players. Team USA's B team is better than every other country's A team, except maybe Spain with 100% of their roster and healthy. Maybe Spain might be able to compete, but I think Team USA is going to win. Overall, looking at this team, who's going to play point guard is a question. I mean, of course, Kyrie and Kyle Lowry are going to play point guard, but who else is in there to play guard? They got Jimmy Butler, I guess you could call him a two guard, and Klay Thompson's a two guard. Overall, the roster, just looking at this lineup, I think you got your best lineup is going to be Carmelo, of course, Kevin Durant. Those two guys got to be on the floor. I think you put Paul George on the floor. You put Kyrie Irving on the floor as a ball handler. That's four guys right there. Maybe DeMarcus Cousins. If you go small, then we got Melo, KD, Kyrie. Melo, KD, Kyrie is three. I like those three guys. I think Paul George makes four. Maybe even a Draymond. I think Draymond as a five would be a good lineup. I'm not talking positions, just those five guys. Jimmy Butler, I think, can go in there. DeMarcus can go in there if you're going to put a true big guy in there. That's what I think about Team USA. Y'all let me know what y'all think about Team USA. If you know about the international rosters that I definitely don't know about, let me know what you know. I heard that Gasol might not go to Rio because he heard about that disease or whatever is going on down there that a lot of people are kind of nervous about. So he was talking about maybe not playing because of that or whatever. He's played for Spain a lot, given a lot of years to Spain. So y'all tell me what y'all know, what y'all think is going to happen with Team USA. Let me know what you think about the free agency that I talked about. And I don't know shit about the draft. So if y'all want to talk about the draft in the comments, you can, but ain't nothing I can say because I don't know nothing about those players. Everybody, oh yeah. Also, let me know what other topics you want me to talk about. It's NBA offseason. Besides the Olympics, there's no games being played. I mean, except Summer League, which I doubt I'm going to watch either. So let me know if you want me to talk about anything basketball-wise. Let me know what it is, if it's a certain topic. It don't have to be like basketball news. If it's anything about ball, like your game or making the team or something like that. I got some ideas that I am going to get off. But if there's anything, like any tips, advice, guides, anything like that I haven't talked about on video, I talked about a lot of stuff on video. Anything I haven't that you, at least you think I haven't, if you ain't seen the video, leave it down there in the comments and we'll get to it. If it's something new, it's a good idea, I appreciate it, I will do it. If it's something I already did, I'll just tell you that I already did it and you can go find it. Everybody work on your game, DreAllDay.com. What could you not do with more confidence? Less attention to the negativity of other people, more focus on your goals than nothing else, and not letting unfortunate circumstances slow you down. Would all of those help you out? Well, go to DreAllDay.com/bulletproof. Check out my new 8-week course called Bulletproof Mindset. Get started, and I'll see you over there. Work on your. If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is @Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work on Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset. Getting yourself seen, heard, known, getting the exposure you want, and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast. We on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game.
Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball. When I feel like Dre Ball. I'm ballin'.